Hey over there, Joe Lunchbox.
And Joy Nightingale.
And today we've landed right here in Old Bethpage, Long Island, New York. Now we're going to go to a cool museum that we actually have here on Long Island that I think everyone should know about, but not everyone does.
Obviously.
So we're at Old Bethpage Village Restoration. Now you might be wondering, what is Old Bethpage Village Restoration?
What is it?
I'm glad you asked. So what Old Bethpage Village Restoration is, in the 1960s, Long Island was getting so built up that Nassau County went, we got a lot of historical buildings here. We should preserve some of them. So they bought around 240 acres in Old Bethpage and got a bunch of old buildings. So in June of 1917, Nassau County opened Old Bethpage Village Restoration. Now, it's a spot, so this isn't like an old town. These are all buildings from all over Nassau County that have now been put here to look like an old town. The time frame that this is all based in is the antebellum America time frame. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's before the Civil War. So say like the War of 1812 to 1861, that time here in America. So figure America's leading up to the Civil War, but also industries taking off, technologies advancing. It's a changing America. Changing United States of America. And that's when this area is based in. All the buildings are from the 19th century. And we're going to go check it out. So step right up. Let's go for this ride. Old Bethpage Village Restoration, where history comes alive. You always have to enter the visitor center. Time to go buy our tickets. So we got our little map to go. And what I like is, it says where all the houses that now make up Old Bethpage Village Restoration are from. And in the visitor center, we actually have photos of the houses that now make up Old Bethpage Village Restoration, where they originally stood. So there you see like the Hewlett House in Woodbury, or Benjamin's house in Northville, or Layden's store in East Northwich. It is cool that besides just having these houses preserved, we actually have records and images of where the houses originally stood. And the day we're here at is Decoration Day. We are here on Memorial Day weekend. The direct Decoration Day parade is at 1:15. Ceremony to follow at the cemetery. First time we get to leave in the reception center, visit center, whatever you want to call it. Have an old-timey baseball game getting ready. Like I said, they didn't just move the buildings here. It's a living history museum. And I love coming to stuff like that, where there's people dressed for the time periods, talking about how it was during those times, as if they were actually there. And to come into a baseball game, it's pretty cool from back then. Base hit. It is interesting that they also pitch underhanded.
There's no
more
mitts.
Softball style. There is no mitts. If only they had some old-timey hot dogs to go along with this. What year are we supposed to be around?
1864.
1864? Yeah. And when did they start using mitts?
Not until like the 1890s. They using mitts back then was considered like being weak. So a lot of players wouldn't do it unless it was like strictly necessary. And I didn't start. The catcher was the first one to have it. But this is the ball that we play with. Obviously, that's been used pretty well. But
yeah.
But it's not as hard as you think.
Oh yeah.
It's also interesting stitching patterns.
The stitching patterns.
Yeah, well, because they're all hand sewn. So
yeah.
The cross, this is like a bat that we normally use. This is my bat. It's one of the lighter ones because I'm 5'0". But you look at some of these guys, like this guy here. He swings like a Babe Ruth bat. Things like 40 ounces.
Wow.
And
The first house we're coming to is the Schenk House, set around 1765, originally from Manhasset. It is interesting, they said, if there's flags out in front of the building, it means we're allowed to go into said building. And the thing, like I said earlier, that fascinates me the most is that all these buildings were moved here. Like, it feels like a village, but thinking that these are all historical buildings that have been put here to form a village, and that they are all original buildings from Nassau. They didn't just want to build like a recreation of what it was back then. They used the old buildings.
Made like their own village.
Yeah, a village of Nassau County. Starting at noon. So it's 12:30, but the building's name is Noon. You see the cow? We have a bar room out here.
So, although it was called an inn, there's no record of anyone actually staying here. This is because in order to have a liquor license at the time, you had to have at least 2 beds where people could stay the night. It was a quarter for a quarter of the bed. So, the average salary would have been around 12 cents a week. So that was around 2.5 weeks' salary to share beds with 4 other guys. And people wouldn't have eaten here, the tables weren't here, so they just grab a drink and then they go. Chances are no one was getting drunk because it was located right across from a Methodist church at the height of the temperance.
What would have been the drink of choice back then?
So there was it depended on your age. So children could have drank here with their family as long as they had parental permission, and 14 was the drinking age without parental permission. So there would have been stuff like apple cider and beer that hadn't fermented very well. That would have been drunk by the children because it was safer than the water and would kill the germs off. But for older people, I would think that it might be whiskey or beer.
Okay.
So attached to the bar, here we have the parlor. And upstairs we have what was the ballroom. Here we have what would have been the 2 bunks, which you were saying, there's no record of anyone actually staying. They just needed them for the liquor license. Just think. They said 2 weeks' salary would have made a quarter. And it took 1 quarter to get 1/4 of this bed. You didn't just get the bed to yourself. You shared the bed with 3 other strangers. Here we have a nicer bedroom with bassinet. Figuring this would have been the innkeepers or the barkeepers. The people who ran it's their bedroom here. One of the random facts I love about historic buildings is you can see how old the building is by the size of the wood boards that make up floors. Figure when we first started building, when Americans first started building buildings here, they cut down the bigger trees, so the floorboards were way bigger. Nowadays, when you look at lumber, the floorboards are a lot smaller. This would have been the ballroom.
The ballroom.
I do love the historic feel of the older flags. Soldiers' Union and Society. It's funny, the size of this bedroom. People have closets bigger than this bedroom.
We're going to go up in the air. Normally we'd be pointing flat out, but we don't want to take any chances. And you would just squeeze the trigger. And then of course you pull that off. Now one of the problems is, now imagine how loud that was, right? That was 1 rifle. Imagine 15,000 of them going off at the same time, and another 15,000 going off 100 yards away as they shot at each other. Because unlike today, as you see, we're wearing red pants, bright jackets. Everyone says, well, they could see you. Like, why would you wear something that they could see you at? That's because during those battles, everybody just lined up a couple 100 yards apart from each other like a football game and just started blasting away. So once again, we'll take off our cartridge, pour the powder down. Now, as I said back north, up here in this part, that's where the bullet would be. So we would tap it down, and then you got a ram, it's called, all the answer. This is the ramrod. And with that, you push everything down and you tamp it so it's all good. take it back out. Very important that they had to remember to take this piece out, because if I left it in by accident when I pulled the trigger, we have a 3.5 foot long piece of steel whipping through the air like, you know, like a spear. And then again, we take the cap. Well, that's how they work.
Love this coach. Bigger than most of them are. I'd love to go this.
Not only that, like on the outside, the pictures.
John Stevenson, New York.
It's an omnibus. So it's like a bus.
Yeah. Circa 1871. Many of the bus metal fittings are marked John Stevenson and Company. Streetcar omnibus patent, October 17th, 1871.
Oh, that's cool. So, because a lot of these were seen on Broadway, they were called Broadway stagecoaches.
Or to the John M. Layden General Store, which originated in East Norwich on Long Island.
So this building is actually a store and a house.
Okay.
So Layton worked in this part, which was his store, and then over there is where he lived, his house. The building was built in 1866, and it's also restored to 1866. So during that time, Mr. Layton, John Layton, lived with his 13-year-old son and his wife. Some interesting things about this store, all the products are broken down into their departments. So inspired from Macy's department store in Manhattan.
I love that. We also see all the items that would have been sold instead of just being able to walk into the building.
Weighing out the beans.
Right here is a washing machine. It was the most expensive item in the entire store. It cost about $13. And it was for very wealthy people. Is a coffee grinder. So this wouldn't actually have been sold in the store, but the coffee
would
from it would have. If you wanted your own coffee grinder, that's a handheld personal one.
Very cool.
And now I guess we can head to the house part. Layton and his family lived here. This is their dining room. This table would have been in the middle. And here is the parlor. So children would not have been allowed in here. It would have been pretty much adults only. We have an organ here that still works, and a furnace where the heat would be shared between the house part and the store. If you see this big tube connecting both.
Okay.
This right here is the kitchen. It was a very modern kitchen for the time, and it had running water. So you could see there's a tap, and it's basically a kitchen built around a well.
Okay.
Do you want to guess what this thing on the ground is?
Bathtub.
Exactly, it's a bathtub. But obviously an adult cannot fit in there, so adults would plant themselves and then pour water over their heads. And people wouldn't bathe that frequently, most likely once a week on Saturday before Sunday church. So this would be Layton's office.
So here we're entering the dining.
I'm assuming this is the master bedroom from that beautiful sleigh bed. I have another bedroom. I like this one. Has another desk. Guess if he didn't finish off his work down in his office, bring the work up to the bedroom.
Guessing the lady of the house.
It's interesting above the general store. All the stuff being stored. Since it's all reenactment stuff like Bell for President. Like, yeah, that wouldn't have been stuff sold at the general store. And it's probably stuff they just use this room as storage for the Restoration Village. But it fits with the time period, everything, so it works up here. We're 15 minutes to the parade, which leads up to the cemetery. join the parade. We might not be marching in a Memorial Day parade, but we're marching in a Decoration Day parade. It's weird having people marching in this old looking village as planes are flying overhead.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Old Bethpage Village Restoration for our Decoration Day ceremony. We thank you all for being here today. We want to thank the Old Bethpage Village Brass Band for leading us up to the cemetery here. We also want to thank the veterans of the 14th Brooklyn Regiment who were able to scrap together some pieces of their old uniform from the late war to be with us here today. It's at this time that I would now like to invite the Reverend Mr. Fanning for our invocation for today's ceremony.
Brothers and sisters, let us pray. Lord, we beseech thee to continue thy merciful goodness to us and to our country. Give wisdom and strength and union to the government and people of the United States. Bless all who are set in authority over us.
Today is Decoration Day. It should be observed by all. Next to the 4th of July, it should stand first in the hearts of our people as a national holiday, for it commemorates the death of thousands of brave men who fought so nobly for the safety of our homes. At this time, please rise for the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner. I would now like to welcome Captain James Lennon, commander of the Mott Post of the Grand Army of the Republic.
My comrades, my voice is not for your ears today. I speak not to you, but of you. My countrymen, the duty I perform is to you, to tell you in brief words of the object and aims of the great organization that exists in our land, powerful in numbers, but only for good, composed of men who bared their breasts in the face of the enemy to preserve the union of the state, the Grand Army of the Republic. Care for and aid in supporting the widows of our comrades who sleep their last sleep, who have fought their last battle, and with your generous help to aid in clothing, educating, and fitting for manhood and womanhood the orphan children of the dead brave.
Today. And it is proper that the youth of this land should be taught by beholding and participating in the ceremonies of Decoration Day, that he who falls in defense of his country shall not be forgotten. Bar. Recover. Arm. Shoulder. Arm. About. Face. We thank you all for joining us today. Have a wonderful day in the village. All right.
So it's interesting what we're learning here. When we came into Old Bethpage right today, we said how it usually is themed to before the Civil War, a time called the antebellum period of America. Obviously today, that's out the window, as we see, because it is Memorial Day weekend, and they are celebrating that for this weekend. So we are celebrating Decoration Day, because Decoration Day started in 1869, and it was sort of what Memorial Day is today. And Decoration Day was started to be recognized federally by Congress in the 1930s, and then it became what we know as Memorial Day in 1967. So it is interesting that we're in this historic village and we're celebrating Decoration Day, which is what we know today as our Memorial Day. I never know when we come to like a historic village and we have a cemetery. Like, I know the buildings were moved here, but is this a real cemetery that was already on the land? Is this tombstones that they just recovered over years and put here? I really don't know. Heading into Manhassen's District Number 6, an old schoolhouse. Flags out in front means we're allowed to go in the building. School waiting area. Never had to use a little slate. So what ages would the kids have been in the school?
They would have been about 8 to 16.
Couldn't find being in the same class, like all that. Joy, did I ever introduce you to my good friend John?
No.
He's right over here.
Oh.
Joy,
What?
I'll see you in a few minutes. I'm just gonna...
No.
Oh, it's just a recreation?
Yeah.
Good, because I really didn't want to use this ivy as toilet paper. We have another general store. Looster's General Store. Trade accepted. May I could trade you in for some goods?
Hey, I thought I was the good.
You are. I'm going to steal you back in the middle of the night. Don't worry.
Okay.
So what year is this from and where is it from?
This is East Norwich.
East Norwich in 1840.
It operated as a general store grocery until 1963, and that's when the building was brought here. We were going to bulldoze it in the name of progress, same as the other building. They were within walking distance of each other, but they were not competitors, because when he opened up, which one was you shopping? This one or that one?
No.
Yeah, I'll be there. So this one couldn't compete, so it changed. Doesn't go out of business, it just changes, because more of a hardware store. And then in 1899, different owners, that stops being a general store. When that happens, this building enlarges, just triple in size, reverts back to being a general store. So we came in to buy your coffee, Mr. Leister, did I get any mail? And the answer was usually no. Because it was expensive to mail a letter back then. Think the equivalent today would be buying a stamp for $9. So if it went from 0 to 30 miles, it cost you 6 cents. The most expensive would be 25 cents if it went over 400 miles.
So like
The average, let's figure it out, the average daily wage in 1840 was 6 cents.
Wow.
So
week or per day?
per day, no, per hour. So a man would earn, on average, 60 cents a day, figure 10-hour day. But we know from his book, we have this guy's books. That's why we restored to 1840 when we know what he sold. And from the book, I know that he hired people to work here twice in the year. The book covers a year, probably when he got deliveries. And he paid them 50 cents a day. If you were working in farm country and you were working on somebody's farm, you made 50 cents a day, but you got free room and board. If you were to job in the city, you got paid $1 a day, but you had to pay for your own room and board. So it works out about
2,000 pounds. And these little things are nails that, and like the holes, they're just, the nails fell out over time and then they eventually got lost. But the reason why this was made was not to like keep people from stealing stuff, because usually everybody knew each other, so it's not like this was made to keep other people out, but it was to keep it so that if there was a fire in an Allwood house, his like valuables would be burnt. And then what I think is the coolest part is the fact that when this closes, you like obviously, because it's a safe, it needs to be a keyhole. But then you look at it and you're like, where's the key? Like, where would you put the key?
Yeah.
And then I think the coolest thing is you go like this. That's the keyhole. And like who would ever be like?
Yeah, no, before you find it,
Wow.
you knew what you were looking
So
for.
yeah, so I think that's so cool. And yeah, this was a safe that he
And every
used.
safe was made individually.
Mm-hmm.
It was made in Manhattan, down on Water Street. That's where the
Okay.
fort was. We know who, we know where. Being made individually, he could have made it more complicated. We got to find 3, 4, 5, not just 2. And the interesting thing is that the individual never filed a patent on it, on the mechanism.
Yeah. No blacksmith for me today. Louis Rich Hat. Oh, I know. They made a song about him, right? It's hat maker, make me a hat. That's the way the song goes, right? I'll learn it one day, Joy. I'll learn it one day.
This is from the 1830s in Middle Island.
Middle Island, okay.
This building is restored 1830, but first built back as soon as 1812 over in Middle Island. And it was more so the unfortunate workshop than selling shop of Louis Rich. Way back when, his main business was unfortunately, because Middle Island was so small, farming like everybody else. In the meantime, his hobby was the hat making, where he tried to make 100 hats per season, before eventually taking all those hats, putting them in the cart, then going to New York City to sell them wholesale.
Interesting.
And now we are still a working hat shop, so all hats you see right now are made the same way he did, way back when, just with a slightly different material.
So what would he been using back then?
Well, either way, it's all felt.
Okay.
They all start with a basic felt hat body, you see here. But whereas his felt may have been like, say, something more extravagant, like, say, beaver or rabbit felt, nowadays we just use wool felt.
Did they size hats back then?
Well, other hatters definitely, they would have. All the crown blocks you see over here do have a size marker on the inside to let you know what you're working with. But unfortunately, he didn't do much of a much person-to-person interaction with his hats. He just made a big assortment and then just kind of brought them all over.
Was he buying the felt or making the felt?
Well, this is what's called a hat finishing shop. So all
Okay.
he did was buy
the
this
felt.
stuff.
Okay.
But hat makers are the ones who would like either contact hunters and buy pelts, buy the fabric. Buy felts, get the fur to put into this machine. That would, well, when I hat maker, so I can't say for certain, eventually spin the felt around so much that you get one of those.
I love when you see houses with 4 chimneys coming out the top, and you see the fireplace, the bricks built off the back side of the house. We have the Cooper house. We have a big loom over here. Definitely looks like a lot of sewing and weaving was done here. Last time we're going is the Williams house, because this would have been the Williams farm from 1860 on Jericho, Long Island. Looks like someone was having a tea party in the corner, playing with their dolls. I always wish I had a fireplace like this. In case you all don't know, I have a massive cast iron collection dating back to the 1890s. Most of it starts more 1910 to modern. But I always wish I had a big fireplace to use it all in, to cook all my meals. This would do. This would do. I love in front of this house, we have 3 little stairs to this platform. You'd be like, what would you use this platform for? Is this for the one-man band? Just do a little show up here? No. So you get on and off your horse. No reason to jump, and you could just walk up a few steps and step right on him. And we're approaching the livestock buildings. We found some animal.
I want to do that.
Oh, the flies bothering you? I love using the tail to fan away the flies. We're approaching one of my favorite animals. The sleepy pigs. Yeah, hello. Uh-huh. I know. I see you're sleeping in your house. I see you built your house out of sticks, Mr. Pig. No bricks for you. You must be the second little pig. And it looks like his house, the straw blew down already. It always fascinates me. People don't realize sometimes, I feel, how big a pig is. Like cows you think being so big. Pigs you think are like cute little things like the size of a dog. Not realizing, no, this thing is big.
Huge.
It's the size of like a black bear.
Size of a cow.
No, not size of a cow. See all those turkeys over there counting their blessings that it's Memorial Day weekend, not Thanksgiving. Otherwise, you guys would be trying to make a run for it. I never seen turkeys with such white feathers on them. They really are beautiful. Hello, Mr. Goose. How are you doing today? Enjoying the sun? I see you seeing me.
Got goats in the back, we got turkeys down the end.
Very cool.
Chickens and the sheep are wandering somewhere. They could be either this end or the other. Now they're just grazing back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
They were up here a few minutes ago. I don't know where they'll work their way back down.
Yeah.
Lawn mowing.
So I know the village is closed January through March.
Yes.
Do the animals stay here or do they go to another
No,
farm?
We're here.
You're here all the time?
Yeah, the people on the farm are here right every day of the year.
They appreciate it.
Just sitting on 3 eggs. Right down. Straight down.
Straight down. Oh, straight down.
Look at the turkeys for sure. They're
Yeah.
really kind of interesting.
I'm gonna follow them around, look for the chicken.
They say red, white, and blue.
I never seen turkey so white as those.
It's a breed.
You guys leading the ways to the turkeys? It's like, let me show you our friends.
Not really. They
No,
look-
no,
they're
that's
just
it.
standing out of the way. They talk all the time, turkey sweet. You just talk, you're gonna whack my finger if I do this. You're just gonna catch me.
I love it sounds like a little poof poof like a steam engine. Besides the normal sounds. Yeah, hello.
Arf, 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 arf.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. I see the sheep.
They move fast, cruising along.
We found the sheep.
They're back over there.
When we first went on that side, the guy was like, they're all the way to the right. Now we came back, and then we ran all the way back to the left. But we found the sheep. It is cool that besides just having the buildings, we have the livestock. It really feels like this was an old-time living village. I mean, that's what it's supposedly representing, so obviously. But the fact that they went so far that we have some animals throughout the thing, too. I like it. We're exiting through the gift shop before we got this little museum area talking about how the buildings were moved. And here we see a miniature of that noon bar room in Overside Load. Just picture it on the truck like that, coming apart in pieces, rebuilt. That's pretty amazing, moving the building. House is disconnected from foundation, opening or cuts in the foundation just below the floor joints. Large wire steel I-beams are slid through the house, perpendicular to the floor joists. You should have a cute miniature of Old Bethpage Village Restoration. Scale is 1 inch equals 50 feet. There you have Old Bethpage Village Restoration. I always loved coming here ever since I've been a kid. When we were coming on Memorial Day weekend, I didn't know that it was decoration day here, and they were actually celebrating Memorial Day weekend.
That was cool.
In their old-timey way. And I wasn't expecting that. We just caught, as we were walking out,
Oh my gosh.
the Blue Angels are doing an air show also on Long Island, and they just flew right overhead. That was a good surprise.
So cool.
But I love it. I love being able to go in the old buildings, learn about how times were back on Long Island, back in the 1860s and times around those times. And I hope you loved it too. And if you did, you could let us know by liking this video, commenting down below. And if you like, we do throw some history in there. A lot of the stuff we do is adventures and oddities and kitsch, and all around roadside attractions, mini golf, stuff like those things, amusement parks.
Yep.
I do like history though. When this fits in, it's not a roadside attraction. When you have the people dressed up and you feel like you're transported back, it fits with what we do.
Yes.
So, hopefully you liked it. And if you like all that stuff, you should subscribe to our channel because we do a lot of that kind of stuff. But I think we could call it now.
I think so.
Old Bethpage Village Restoration. Been there, done that. Remember, folks, safe travels.
Good eats.
And live life.